I love the start of every month because that's when I get some royalty income from Amazon and from Spotify, and also when I start to see money coming in or beginning to come in from YouTube. So in addition to the regular daily purchases that happen through the fees generated by our node, it is also a time to say, okay, well, I've got some extra money from here. I'm going to put that into Bitcoin and buy more Satoshis. And that's how it works. A week ago, when I did a recording, we were sitting on about 80, let's have a look at this. At the moment we're on 92,700. But if I look at Tuesday last week, Tuesday last week was 88,500 or $88,300. So it hasn't gone up that much to get to today. Today we're at 92,700. But there was a point earlier today when I bought at 11 in the morning and pricing was $87,400. And that was a great price and I was really happy with it. Sod's Law, it's up almost 4,500, 5,000 a few hours later. But that doesn't matter because if you keep your eye on the price, keep your eye on the prize by all means, but if you keep your eye on the price, you'll drive yourself crazy, you'll be distracted to the nth degree, and you'll always be thinking, oh, should I wait? Should I hold on a bit longer and wait for a better price? No, don't do that. Go for regular, consistent, weekly or fortnightly or monthly purchasing activity and just get the coins purchased. Like I said, I get Amazon royalties and Spotify royalties at the beginning of every month. And when I got that notification yesterday, I thought, right, I will tomorrow morning allocate some of that over to buying Satoshis, and I'm very happy that I did. But what's interesting, if I look at the numbers for just a month ago, so today, for example, I bought £100 worth of Satoshis, and that got me 140,000 Satoshis. The same amount of money on the 1st of November only bought me 120,000. So by taking advantage of a relative decline in recent weeks, and particularly this week today, I've added another 20,000 Satoshis over and above what I would have purchased with the same money a month ago. If I go back to October the 25th, that figure was even lower in terms of the Satoshis that I could buy, because £100 on the 25th of October bought 114,000 Satoshis because Bitcoin was higher. Bitcoin, let's have a look, on the 25th of October was, if I can get that, let's go back on a 6-month view, 25th of October, $111,000. My goodness, 111,000 versus the 97,000 that we're at today. But like I said, focus on the overall goal, which is accumulating more and building your either coin stack or your coins plus Satoshi stack or your Satoshi stack, wherever you're at. Keep purchasing. I was talking to some other creative friends a week ago before I got my flight to where I am now, and we had coffee and we talked about all sorts of things: buying and selling vintage books, rent from tenants, and royalties from existing brand new books and audio files. But we also talked about having to spread the money, or choosing to spread the money into different things, such as stocks and shares and Bitcoin. And I talked about how I have moved significantly away from holding stocks and shares alongside my Bitcoin into being predominantly Bitcoin nowadays. And we just talked about the ways to get started, and the person I was with, he was worried that it would need thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars, if that's your currency, to get started. And I said, no, if you could put $100 in every week or $100 in every month, and then when you're in a better position, change it to weekly, that would be enough. And I think that was a relief for him to hear, that it is not such a financial drain as maybe the press likes to suggest. And I think when we see a price like $92,700 tonight, we think, oh, I haven't got $92,000. How can I get started? And it's only when you dig into this subject that you start to realize that a Bitcoin has 100 million Satoshis, and you can easily go out and buy 1 million Satoshis for the 1% price of whatever Bitcoin is. So looking at my numbers on the screen now, if it's 92,700 for a whole coin, it's $927 to buy 1 million Satoshis. And you've locked it in, it's yours. You hold it on maybe an exchange or a platform until you have the confidence to understand how to set up a cold wallet, and you just transfer your balance onto your wallet. And then you have more control over it. You've got a seed phrase, you've got a strong sequence of words that are yours. But I think I've only been buying consistently for maybe 2 years, and I realise how much I've learned in that time about all the things that are part of the Bitcoin universe. And the learning doesn't stop, and it doesn't go away. There are commentators I like to watch throughout the week just to see what they're saying, what their themes are. And this is not a Bitcoin channel. Remember that. You might have come here because you found the word Bitcoin in a YouTube search, and you've seen Nick Sturgeon with a dozen videos on Bitcoin, by and large on a weekly basis. But this is not a Bitcoin channel. Mine is a channel for writers and creatives and artists. And one of the things I like to talk about, because some of my books have been about climbing out of debt or learning how to budget and making your money go further, all sorts of themes around that. So it's been natural for me to start sharing with non-coiners what holding Satoshis is like, how you do it, how you start, and how you make progress with that. There are very few of my audience who have bought nodes. We have several nodes, and those generate fees from thousands of transactions every day, tiny little minute fees, but they add up so that there are whole dollar values in consistent levels every single day because of all the transactions that happen as people buy and sell, and those transactions have to pass through a node. But that's a tiny aspect of the activity that we have with Bitcoin or with cryptocurrency generally. And most people want to know, how do I get started? How do I choose a platform? How do I then transfer my coins from a platform onto a secure wallet? And those are the very basic things. But the conversation I had last week really reminded me that for a lot of people, it's actually understanding that you don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars to buy a whole coin, that there are these tiny, minuscule 100 million units called a Satoshi inside each actual coin, and that's where we can start confidently and successfully. I talked about rules and regulations and the fact that there are basic rules, and for me those are about consistent buying, small purchases all the time. Another example is on the bank account that I use the most. They have a regular little savings game where you might start off on one day, it's all automated, and over the course of a year you start off with a penny, and then the next day 2 pence is taken away. You think cents if you want to do that in the States, but the next day it's 3 cents, and on the 10th day it's 10 cents, and on the 20th day it's 20 cents. And now I'm on £3 something being taken out every single day. But because I've been doing that for a long time, every month, as soon as that balance gets to 100 units, pounds or dollars, doesn't matter, I transfer another 100 over to Coinbase, buy my Satoshis, and add those to the current stock. And as soon as that gets up to 0.01 of a whole Bitcoin, that gets transferred over to a cold wallet. And what you have to do is think, what can I do to keep building my net worth, literally a few hundred or a few thousand Satoshis at a time, and focusing on the growth of the stack, not on the actual price of the coin. A few weeks ago, we were down to the low 80s. 6 weeks ago, we were at 100 and something, I can't remember, 111. There was a point when we were at 120. But my focus isn't on that, and I try and help all the new people that I'm talking with online or face-to-face via telephone and video call, I try and focus people on, no, put aside what you can manage at a level that will be consistent, whether that be weekly, fortnightly or monthly, so that you don't have to think about it. You can almost make it a knee-jerk reaction to knowing that you have hit payday, therefore that amount gets put into Satoshis, or you have a surplus on, maybe you get paid every Friday for a side hustle or a side gig that you do, and you think, right, I've got $50 surplus after all my vehicle expenses or operating costs. That $50 goes and buys Satoshis, or every time I have $50 I hold it, and when I get to another 50 at 100, then I spend $100 or £100 and I buy more Satoshis. It's having little tricks, little moments like that, so that I knew today to look at the Amazon royalty figure. I knew to look at yesterday's Spotify income. Next week I'll be looking at what's been paid this month for last month's YouTube activity, and all of that just gets put automatically. I don't have to think about it. It automatically gets put aside and it buys more Satoshis, and what that's doing is it's buying a strong, rare, incredibly powerful financial asset that is so different from what I used to invest in with stocks and shares and houses. So that's my message for today. Have a few simple rules about frequency of purchase, value of the purchase, and keep your focus on the longer term prize, not on the day-to-day pricing.